Thank you, Judy. That was amazing. I'm David Rohde. I'm a board member of the Pulitzer Center, a very proud Pulitzer Center board member, and also an investigative editor and reporter at Reuters. I'm going to continue this theme tonight of telling these stories about John Sawyer and Kem. My friendship with John stretches back 25 years. I met John in Riga, Latvia in 1991. I'm dating myself here. I was a 22-year-old freelance reporter myself, covering the breakup of the then Soviet Union when we met and had dinner, and he was so kind and inspiring to me then, as he is to young freelancers today. I just admired him immediately for his drive and his journalism, and he's just a great example to us all. And I watched the Pulitzer Center launch, and you've heard this about innovation, and that's what this place is about, and it's amazing how nimble this organization is and how open to change it is. I was honored to join the board 3 years ago. I think the model that John and his team have developed, it allows freelancers to do the in-depth reporting that the public here and the public overseas so desperately needs, but that, let's be honest, but that many news organizations simply cannot afford to fund on their own. And sadly, the Pulitzer Center today has another vital mission that none of us welcome, and that's what I want to focus on tonight. We live in an era when overseas reporting has never been more dangerous. The murders of James Foley and Stephen Sotloff, both of whom were freelancers, illustrated it, as did the kidnapping of Pulitzer Center grantee Michael Scott Moore. You may not have heard of his case, but he was held captive for 2 years and 9 months in Somalia. John did an extraordinary job, everyone at the Pulitzer Center, in trying to help his family resolve that case. He came home over a year ago, and one of the great joys of my life has been spending time with Michael and seeing him recover from that experience. But the sad truth is that news organizations are strapped for cash, and they're increasingly relying on more and more freelancers to do that overseas reporting that's so vital. And at the same time, it's more dangerous than ever to do that overseas reporting, and it's more important than ever that those freelancers, many of them young, have the financial resources to report properly. An alarming trend, a growing number of journalists who are being killed or kidnapped are freelancers. And I think that that's a reflection of the fact that these freelancers have less resources when they don't have support from places like the Pulitzer Center. Through its reporting grants, the Pulitzer Center is battling this terrible trend. It's creating safer reporting overseas. Each grant gives freelancers the funds they need to hire a high-quality local journalist to work with them. Let's be honest, any foreign reporter in this room, foreign correspondent, knows you're only as good as the local journalist that you're lucky enough to work with. The grants give young journalists the opportunity to have a driver who can be with them 24/7. If they need to get away from a crowd or a threatening situation, that driver and car can save their life. And it gives them basic equipment for communicating with the outside world if they need help urgently, or body armor if they're covering a conflict. Again, adequate resources are central to safety. And lastly, I want to thank the Pulitzer Center and John for being a safety leader in another way. John has been a key partner in an effort that I've been involved in Reuters and AP and other news organizations to try to create an alliance between freelance journalists and news organizations that set a basic safety standard for how together we should cover conflicts that endanger us all. Over the last year, over 90 news organizations and a variety of freelancers associations that represent hundreds of freelancers have signed on together, along with journalism, NGOs, and advocacy groups, to what we're calling the Culture of Safety Alliance. Signatories include every global wire service, every American major television network, and European media outlets, leading ones such as the BBC and The Guardian. And of course, one of the very first signatories was the Pulitzer Center. Last fall, as part of the alliance, Reuters offered 15 freelancers a free 5-day hazardous environment training in Belfast, Northern Ireland. And an illustration of how desperately freelancers want that training and need it, more than 200 freelancers applied for those 15 positions. When I was asked by my editors at Reuters, how can we figure out which freelancers to choose, which place could provide that kind of judgment to decide which freelancers were serious and which ones would actually use the training and appreciate it, there was a very simple answer to their question. The answer was the Pulitzer Center. I want to thank Tom Hunley, who's here, and Catherine Doyle, and John as well, for sorting through those 200 applications. They also provided some of the travel expenses for freelancers from developing countries to get to Northern Ireland and receive that freelance training. The expertise the Pulitzer Center has created in judging freelance journalists, rewarding the exceptional ones, helps the entire industry. One of the initiatives we're also thinking about is starting to train editors on how they should handle freelancers that they don't know. How can they verify if they should get an assignment? And it's the Pulitzer Center that has a system for deciding who gets the grants and who can do the best journalism. Our next speaker is in many ways the embodiment of everything I've just described about the impact of the Pulitzer Center's work. Jason Motlaw is a freelancer who's received a dozen reporting grants from the Pulitzer Center that have shaped his career. Along the way, he's won recognition after recognition from the Overseas Press Club and the National Magazine Awards. And he also was a participant in the 5-day hazardous environment training in Belfast last year. I thank John and the entire Pulitzer Center, and Emmy most of all, from the bottom of my heart for creating a model that makes in-depth foreign reporting possible and also safe. Thank you very much.